Okay, so when you're solving equation, and this is number 5, I'm just going to go in the order that you sent me. The first thing is we're going to go ahead and distribute. So I'm actually going to ignore this 5x minus 8 plus 6x minus, and then this plus 6. And then I'm going to just distribute this so I get 3x. 3 times 8 is 24. And then I'm going to go ahead and distribute this so I get 6x plus 30. And then my next, I'm going to go ahead and just combine these like terms, so that's going to give me 30. And then I'm going to distribute this negative on both of the numbers and the variable inside. So I'm going to have 5x minus 8 plus 6x. This becomes minus 3x minus 30 is equal to 6x plus 30. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and combine like terms. So we're going to combine all of our x's, so the 5x and the positive 6x and the negative 3x. So that is going to give me 8x. And then I'm going to do the same thing to my constants. So I have a negative 8. Sorry, let me get a different color. Negative 8 and a negative 30, and that's going to give me negative 38. And then from here, once you have everything combined, you're just going to move things to combine them on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 2x because it's a positive 2x. I get 2x minus 38 is equal to 30. I'm going to add 38 to both sides, and I get 2x is equal to 68. And then when you divide by 2, you get x is equal to 34. All right, number 4. So I'm assuming this is a non-calculator test. So they're telling you a stock company is selling 6 1/4 per share. So per means for 1, and they're asking you that if someone purchases $800 worth, how many did they get, right? So essentially what we're doing is we're dividing these. So the easiest way to do this is to convert that to that's a 1/4. Sorry, convert that to 6.25. So when you are dividing decimals, you are going to move it over so that you're dividing by a whole number, but that also means you have to move it the same number of spots inside. So what you're really dividing is 625 into 80,000, and then you can do the long division math from there. Okay, on number 6, so they're telling us to use the compound interest formula. A is equal to my principal times 1 plus my rate over the number of times the n times t. So what we know is that find the amount of money in the account after 11 years. So that is my time is 11 years. And then 13,000 is my initial deposit. So that is my principal, right? So that is how much originally we start out in the account. And then 6% is my rate. Just keep in mind, in order for me to use it into my formula, I do need to convert that to a decimal. So my rate is 0.06. And then if it is compounded annually, so annually is what's going to help us with the n. So that's the number of times per year. So annually just means 1. So your n is 1. So when you go to plug this into your formula, your principal is 1,300. So that is your P. And then the 1 plus is part of the formula. My rate is 0.06, right? So that's my R over 1, which you don't really have to write. And then my time is 11 years, so that is my exponent right there. It's technically 11 times 1, but again, you don't have to include that. So that is going to be the formula and the numbers plugged in that you're using. Okay, number 2. It's saying in a state with a population of 2 million, okay, the average citizen spends $6,000 on housing, okay, per year. Find the total number spent on this date. So we're going to express that in scientific notation. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just multiply that out, okay, which is a lot, really. It's 2 times 6, which is 12, and then you're adding an extra 3 zeros there. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, in order for you to complete scientific notation, your scientific notation, your number has to be between 1 and 10. So that means I have to move the decimal all the way over here. So I'm going to have 1.2 times 10. Now, since number is bigger than 1, your exponent with your 10 is going to be positive. If that number was less than 1, your exponent would have been negative. And then the exponent comes from how many times did you move the decimal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 1.2 times 10 to the positive 10th power. And again, it would be negative 10 if this number was originally less than 1. Okay, so on this next one, we are on number 3. We are still working in scientific notation. So we have 5 times 10 to the third. So remember, that just means moving it 3 times. So that's 5,000. If it's positive, this number has to be less than or greater than 1. So approximately 5 times, so 5,000 employees of a certain company average $30,000 in each year. Okay, find the total number of money earned. So again, essentially we're multiplying these first, right? Because each employee earns $30,000 and he has 5,000 employees, so that is 15, and then all the zeros. So looks like 150 million. And then when you are moving that, okay, remember your decimal starts here and you're trying to get your decimal here because this number needs to be between 0 and 1. So 1.5 times 10, you know it's going to be a positive exponent because this is greater than 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it should be times 10 to the 8th power. Okay, number 8 is a proportion question. So they're telling you that the ratio of a basketball player completed free throws to attempted. So his completed to attempted, so his total is 3 to 7. And they're asking you to use that to make a prediction if the completed free throws is 15. So that's going to go in the denominator. How many did he make? So we round to the nearest whole number. So when we solve the proportion, we're going to cross multiply. So 3 times 15 and 7x. So that gives me 45 is equal to 7x, and so I'm going to divide both sides by 7. So 45 divided by 7, it's 42. You add a decimal. That's going to give me 6.4. And then I could keep going and add zeros, and it's going to give me about 6.42, and then again I could keep going from there. But if I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, 6.42 rounds to 6 free throws. Okay, so number 7 might be a little bit easily rewritten as 13/8 times y minus 4 is equal to 1/3 times y plus 3. So I'm going to get all of my numbers on one side and all the y's on one side. So I'm going to subtract 1/3 y. So I have 13 over 18y minus 1/3 y. And then I'm going to add 4 to this side. I'm going to get 7. So in order for me to combine these, I do need to have a common denominator. So 3 times 6 gave me 18. So 1 times 6. So I have 13 over 18y minus 6 over 18y is equal to 7. 13 minus 6 gives me 7 over 18y. So keep in mind that this is being multiplied, so I'm just going to divide by 7 over 18s to solve for y. And then when you're dividing fractions, you're really multiplying by the reciprocal. And then when we multiply fractions, your 7s are canceling out, so you should just be left with 18 over 1 or 18. All right, so number 9. They are telling me that Claire scored 85, 88, 87, and 75 on her test, And what is the minimum that she needs to score on her fifth one for her average to be an 83? So in order for me to find an average, right, I'm essentially going to add her 5 scores, whatever her fifth one is, and I'm going to divide by 5. And so in order for me to do that, I can use a proportion to solve this question. So the first thing I can do is I can simplify this a little bit by adding 85 and 88 and 87 and 75. And that's going to give me 335 plus x over 5 is equal to 83. And then I'm essentially just going to cross multiply. So 335 plus x times 1 is just 335 plus x times 85 times 3. Sorry, 83 times 5. I said those backwards. So 83 times 5 gives me 415. And then just working backwards, I can subtract 335 on both sides. And that means she has to score at least an 80 for all of those to average to 83. Okay, so number 11. So they're telling me a mixture of chlorine and water contains a total of 44 gallons of liquid. So when finding percents, your total goes on the bottom. There's 22 gallons of pure chlorine. Okay, 22 gallons. And so they're saying what percent of the mixture is water, what percent of the mixture is chlorine. So 22 out of 44, you're essentially just dividing those. That's going to give you 1/2 because 22 divided by 44 is 1/2, which we know is 50%. So 50% is water, and that means 50% is chlorine, right? So you're just taking the part out of the total, so how much water or chlorine out of the total, and then dividing by these two, and then you'll end up multiplying by 100 to get your 50%. So number 12, I can't see the graph all the way. You're going to have to click expand, but in the order of pair x, y, so whatever this is labeled, this is your x coordinate, and then whatever is labeled here, so it looks like something in sales or dollars, is going to be what your y represents. And then number 20, so when they're asking you to interpret, you have 5 times a number, so in this case a number is x, is added to -8. The result is equal to, so that's your equal sign, 13 times a number. So that's going to be answer choice, looks like A.